Hello, I'm Dulin, and I work for San Diego Public Library with Read San Diego, an adult literacy program within the San Diego Public Library. And this is...
I'm Eric Meyer. I'm the Assistant Director of Education at the Fleet Science Center here in San Diego.
And we're going to show you quickly how to create a few different patterns when you are tie-dyeing either a shirt, or we're going to use a handkerchief and a couple of different items. Alright, so
We've prepared ourselves. We have old clothes on and plastic on our tabletop. We're doing this outside because it can get a little messy. You'll want to think about those kinds of things for yourself as well. I'll grab you a cloth for the first. You want to talk, or you want to grab a cloth and I'll talk about the soaking solutions?
yeah.
We soaked our handkerchiefs and shirts and bandanas in a solution with some soda ash. It's something that was traditionally added to soaps. You can find this online too. What it does is it removes the stain-resisting parts of the clothing and also loosens up the fibers so they get ready for the dye. And we soak that in there for about 15 minutes, half an hour in advance. It is a little harsh on the hands, so the gloves are helpful for that too.
Alright, so I'm going to use this old shirt of mine and create a spiral pattern.
Yeah, you can think about, all these patterns show up in nature too. Our solar system is a spiral pattern, or our galaxy is a spiral pattern. There are pinwheels, the child's toy is a spiral pattern, things like that. So Laura's going to...
Okay. Alright, so create that spiral pattern. I'm going to take a fork and put it in the middle of the t-shirt and grab onto it and just start spinning. It's kind of fun.
You can see it's drawing in the shirt as she's turning it and spinning it together and making that spiral like our galaxy, something like that. The next part of the deal is we tie it up. In this case, we're going to use rubber bands for tying. Let me know if you want my hands on there too. Try and keep that spiral in the center.
Here, I'm going to hold it and use my rubber band.
Okay. We're going to rubber band across each time, sort of slicing into little pieces of pie, as it were.
All right.
One more.
Okay. All right. So I wanted my pattern to be real natural and simple, and just create one spiral. So to do that, I'm going to do only half of the shirt on both sides. All right. So I'm choosing brown.
We are using commercial dyes. You can find ways of doing this, making your own dyes out of fruits and vegetables and leaves and bark, things like that. Traditionally was done. If you want the dye to penetrate in there, you want to get the nozzle down in between the layers of cloth. But as tie-dye is a big experiment in general.
Yeah, have fun with this, right? You can't go wrong.
Oh, it can go wrong.
You could get some good surprises. You may never want to wear it, but
we are using older shirts just to give them a little more life again too. So it's a great way to think about that. And we use a lot of bandanas now, particularly in the pandemic, to protect our faces. So it's making some new ones for ourselves. For that is a nice thing. You never can have too many bandanas as far as I'm
right,
concerned.
so I'm just about done here. Now, can you explain how long you're going to leave it?
Yeah. So we're going to let this sit for at least 24 hours, but it can sit for longer. Sometimes I'll let it sit for a week. We'll put it in a plastic bag and let it in there so it stays moist as well. After that period of time, you'll want to start rinsing it. You'll want to rinse it separate from other clothes. So I have a utility sink. We do it in there. You could also do it in the bathtub. Just run plenty of water through it, and you want to keep on rinsing it until no more dye comes out. The next pattern we're going to show you is sort of a Z-fold pattern. I experimented with it on a paper towel with some washable markers, so if you're doing children, it's a nice way to explore patterns. You can see that the marker bled through. I started like this. Once I folded it back and forth, kind of like a letter back and forth, and I'll show you on this how to do it. And you can see it sort of penetrated in, not all the way. That's a neat aspect of sort of the way tie-dye works sometimes, is it doesn't completely dye everything totally. It does it a little bit here, a little bit there in some ways. So we're going to spread out our handkerchief, and then I'm basically folding back and forth. Try and get it to be even so we have that symmetry. And we are using cotton cloths. They help dye very much better than synthetics. You can use synthetics, but they just don't do it as well. Or partial synthetics, you'll notice they don't do it well or not. People have been doing this for a long time. Silk is another one that people have used.
You talked about your rubber banding here, how you're doing that?
Yeah, so I try and rubber band in symmetrical patterns too. So we did the ends there, about equal distance from the ends. And then I went down to the middle, so to hold it together. The rubber bands also keep the dye from spreading from one zone to another, as it were. So you can make your dyes, your patterns, how you like them. One more, The idea is that it holds it together, and it also is your marker of where the dye ends, and it'll also, the tighter it is, it'll keep the dye from spreading from one zone to another, somewhat. Not 100%, but that's okay, because tie-dye doesn't matter in that regard. And then when I dye, I like to also do some sort of pattern with the dyes as well. So I'm going to start on the outside with this avocado color. Do both ends with that. And then, let's see, I'll use my Brazil nut next. These are just colors that I found and liked. I sort of built a palette out of things that I liked. You can choose other colors, of course, brighter things. I'm trying to work my dye into the zones in the middle there where it's tied up, loosen it up a little bit. Let's see, I have two left. I'll use a little blueberry. You can think about probably lots of things at your house that you know that make stains. They might be good ones to use if you're making your own dyes. And last, a little tangerine. This one's a little clogged on us. Okay, and what it looks like. We'll let it set for a couple of days and then unwrap it like it's Christmas morning.
Okay, so yeah, you said you're going to let it sit a few days, and then we'll talk about the rinsing.
Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit, but again, you'll want to rinse this somewhere where you're not worried about the stain too much. It should be okay in your bathtub. Run lots of water through it, and you want to just keep on squeezing it until dye stops coming out. After the dye stops coming out, you can let it dry and things like that. The first time in the washer, I would wash it separate from other clothes, just so in case some dye comes out in the stronger wash in the washing machine, it doesn't dye your other clothes.
Does it use vinegar? I've read that before. Make it set.
I don't know, maybe. Maybe. Might use vinegar to try that out.
All right. That's about it, folks. Hope you've enjoyed this, and give it a try at home. All right.